Okay. Good morning. Dan O'Shea, Chief of Police, Rockford. To my right is Winnebago County State's Attorney Marilyn Hite. Wanted to give you as much of an update as we can on the shooting, death of the 3-year-old yesterday in the 800 block of North Church Street. Obviously, it's an ongoing and active investigation still, but we do want to put out there what we can at this point. At this point, we do not believe it was a drive-by shooting. It's still being worked on, obviously, but drive-by, and we don't believe it's also any danger to the community outside of the information and the individuals we're talking with that were at the house at the time. So I'm real limited with what we can say. There's been some charges placed against one individual from yesterday, and State's Attorney Hite Ross can talk about that. I know you have a lot of questions, but I felt it really important, as did the State's Attorney, to let the public know we don't think there's any danger out there and that it was not at this time a drive-by shooting. And with that, I'll let State's Attorney Hite Ross talk really quick.
Good morning, everyone. Again, Chief O'Shea and I before you because we have another death investigation. Within the last week, the Rockford Police Department has had 3 death investigations that are active and ongoing. But the latest death investigation obviously has pricked the hearts of all of us because it involves the death of a 3-year-old child. We wanted to get before you today to let you know that it is an active investigation. The members of the Rockford Police Department have actively been working the case since it occurred. My staff has been available to assist. We do hope to have additional updates for you early next week. But what we know at this time is that it is not random. We believe that it was contained within the household where the child lived. And when we have more information regarding that, we will certainly let you know. There was an individual in the home that my office has charged with weapons offenses that do not pertain to yesterday. That person's name.
Octavius Shanklin.
Okay. I wanted to confirm the spelling of the last name. One of the individuals that we have charged is Octavius. Octayygges, Shanklin, Shanklin, who has been currently charged with unlawful use of a weapon by a felon, possessing a firearm without the requisite firearm owner's identification card, and ineligible to receive a firearms identification card. Those charges stem from earlier in the week, not from yesterday, so I did want to make that clear. But we are again reminded about the prevalence of illegal firearms within our community, and my plea to the community is that we know those individuals who are not lawfully in possession of firearms, and if you know of someone who has illegal firearms in their possession, you certainly should notify local law enforcement and or call Crime Stoppers so that we can remove those illegal firearms from our community. We need you to continue to help us help you keep the community safe. Thank you.
So it goes without saying, tragic, horrific, whatever words you want to use. A 3-year-old lost her life. As the State's Attorney and I have been talking about for several months now, the gun violence in the city is reaching crazy high levels, and we need the community's help. We are starting to get some calls, and I feel very confident that we'll clear some of the murders that have occurred. We've obviously had too many. 3-year-old touches the hearts of everybody. I really want to thank the officers that responded. They have to deal with that, not just yesterday, but going forward, and the detectives who are working tirelessly to get resolution, not just in this case, but all the cases. The men and women in this police department work tirelessly, but seeing and dealing with events from yesterday are very, very difficult for the first responders. So With that, I'll take any questions, but again, very limited what we can say at this point due to active investigation.
So how many other people besides the 3-year-old boy were in the apartment when he was shot?
You know, there were several adults and at least one other child. I don't have the exact number, and again, it's probably stuff that'll come out once we make final determination of the case.
And are any of them considered persons of interest?
I couldn't comment on that.
Can you clarify where the gunfire came from?
You know, I can't. It's at this point we feel that it's contained, as the state's attorney said, to that one residence, the investigation, but I can't comment on where it came from.
Where was he shot? What was it in a bedroom, living room? Can you tell us that?
It was a room inside the house, but again, we can't get into the specifics of the case until it's completed.
Was a weapon recovered?
I'm not going to go into weapon recovery or anything to do with the facts of the case.
How many times was he shot?
I don't know that. I truly don't know that, and it would be something that will come out at the end as well.
Can you tell us how many shots were fired?
I can't.
And can you explain what we're kind of confused about is we could see bullet holes on the outside of the house in what looked like the foundation of the house, the concrete. Is that tied to this shooting as well?
All I can tell you is what I said earlier. At this point, we know it's not a drive-by shooting for this particular incident.
Is it possible shots came from outside the home?
Yeah, getting down into the case facts again, that'll all come out once we conclude the investigation and the state's attorney reviews everything for determination of charges. I know it's not everything, and I appreciate everybody wanting more information, but the pertinent information we wanted to get out was it's not a drive-by. We don't think the community is at risk, and we'll get you as much as we can, as soon as we can, but we also don't want to do anything that could contaminate the case or possible charges down the road.
Chief, does that mean that this is a gang involvement or gang investigation?
I couldn't answer that either. I'm sorry, Kristen.
Are you hoping to close this out soon? Does it seem promising in that direction?
I think we'll get conclusion in the case, but I couldn't give you a time frame. Again, there's autopsy to be done, interviews to be done, and then at the end of the day, the state's attorney, as always, has to review everything and make determination of charges.
Have you personally spoken to the parents of the child?
I have spoken with no one involved in the case.
And I just want to clarify something as well. The person who now has the weapons charges, this person was involved in a shooting earlier?
I don't think it was a shooting.
For clarification, what I indicated is that individual was charged with weapons offensive on a different day, which happened earlier in the week. I didn't say he was charged with shooting. I indicated he was charged with unlawful use of a weapon by a felon for a date earlier in the week, but not from yesterday.
Can you specify what that was, what the offense was with the weapon?
Illegally possessing the weapon, meaning that that person, Kristen, is ineligible to receive a firearms identification card. That person is a convicted felon, and those are the charges that I lodged against that individual.
Were the boy's parents in the apartment?
Again, won't get into specifics who was there or how many or anything. That'll all come out as soon as we're done with the investigation. We'll release, as always, as much as information we can that won't potentially taint a trial down the road if charges are placed.
And Chief, is this the first child, at least this year, who murdered and at least what seems like an unintended target?
You know, there's, unfortunately, with the 26 homicide investigations we've had this year, we've had other children, if you will, teenagers, killed, unintended or intended. You know, if the state's attorney places murder charges against somebody, obviously it was intended. I couldn't comment on open cases that are from earlier in the year.
But this is the youngest child we've lost this year to murder.
This is the youngest child we've lost this year to gunfire.
Is there counseling available for your officers who responded to this scene?
Yes, absolutely. We always try and take care of first responders and the officers and the detectives. We check on them, but we also have multiple avenues that they can get to make sure that they can deal with it as well.